You're still watching TVC Breakfast. Now back in Lagos, we're about to find out what's happening in Nigeria and the world. The beautiful Olamide is standing by to tell us everything, and I'm sure that a lot has been happening. Olamide Adekule, good morning.
Team. Absolutely. I love my job so much, you guys, because over the holidays, I just kept on saying, I wish I could take this on trending now, but unfortunately, I was on holiday. God's got to rest.
Okay. Olamide is here.
I know.
The first day of the year, period. Let's see what everyone's talking about this morning. Good morning, Nigeria. I like to say that TVC has a finger on the pulse and our eyes on the streets. And here on the Trending Now segment, you know how it goes. My team and I do our utmost best and our due diligence to bring you all the trending stories that are shaping the world that you and I live in. We begin today in Akwa Ibom State, where Governor Pastor Umo Eno has announced the termination of all contractors and consultants engaged by the state government on revenue-related matters. Now, the governor said that this decision affects all consultants involved in revenue collection across sectors, including transportation and motor parks. This is what he had to say.
All contractors, all consultants to the state government on any sort of revenue, whether it is transportation, whether it is motor park, all terminated. All terminated. I'm saying it now so that you can understand that we are serious. There is an interministerial committee, the Commissioner for Finance, the Commissioner for Budget, the Chairman of the Akwa Ibom Internal Revenue Service. They will form other members with the MDA, the Commissioner for Digital Economy. All of them will form a committee to include the revenue-generating MDAs.
Now, Pastor Umo Eno stressed that the move is part of efforts to restructure the state's revenue system and ensure transparency and efficiency in revenue administration. Very interesting. Let's take a look at what you had to say about this on social media. Pastor B says, what is the implication of this pronouncement to the financial system of his state? Very interesting question. We'll take two more tweets. The Hope says, Governor Umo Eno's announcement reads like a fiscal reset button being slammed down. And in a country where contracts are often considered permanent fixtures, this is nothing short of seismic. Terminating every consultant and contractor at once is dramatic, yes, but it also signals a government that's willing to disrupt comfort zones to tackle inefficiency. It is messy, it is bold, and it is the kind of move that forces both accountability and imagination into spaces that are long accustomed to routine. Great analysis, Jude. And finally, Onye Chimereze says, that's how things work in any environment where there are institutions, where there are no institutions, but emperors. The emperors wake and take whatever decision that pops up in their heads that particular day. Now, team, as we're seeing right now, there's been a mixed bag of reactions. You know, there's a lot of backlash about this. But under Nigerian law, you know, a state governor does have the right to terminate revenue consultants and contractors. He's essentially the chief executive officer of the MDAs, the ministries, departments, and agencies. And it's clear that Pastor Umo Eno, Mr. Shomi, is drawing a hard line between revenue leakage and, you know, revenue generation.
In any case, this is being forced on him also due to the implications of the new tax reforms, which has taken effect 5 days ago, because whether you like it or not, the issue of multiple taxation, over 70 taxes being collected, you know, and being paid by businesses, you know, is just too much. So therefore, the ease of doing business, the need to streamline those taxes and consolidate them also calls for a review at the state level of the means of collecting all those taxes. So for me, Umo is trying to streamline his own tax administration at the local level with the reality on the ground.
You know, sometimes this is a very bold move, and bold moves always do not sit right at first. You know, people will wonder, oh, why has this happened? But if it's going to bring accountability, because you all know me on this table all the times, I always speak about accountability. If this is going to bring that and make sure that good reforms are done, then I think fair to go. My only problem is that I hope that no contractor is being owed. I hope the people that have worked will actually get their money. But if he's saying that this is for accountability in the states, then I think it's a good way to go.
Absolutely. I really share your sentiments on this because when you go to some of the states, Cross River, even in Lagos, you see multiple taxations. You see some guys on the road collecting money from those who are going into the market, parking their cars, coming out of the market, even on the road, you also pay, so that also impacts on prices of foods, goods and services and all of that. So if the government has actually terminated the contract and suspended all form of levy collections, what system is it planning to put in place? President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has thanked the governors that are keen into the NRS, the new tax regime, which is good. So we want other states to also follow suit and ensure that you pull the right persons to generate these funds and then remit to the coffers of the government, not multiple taxations where we won't be able to make accountability.
Absolutely, team. And I truly believe that a good leader is never afraid of complete overhaul. But at the end of the day, in Akwa Ibom, I hope this goes well for all parties involved.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for your input, team. Moving on, Pastor Chris seems to have followed us into 2026, and the Lagos State Police Command has formally invited controversial cleric, Pastor Chris Okafor, the senior pastor of the Mountain of Liberation and Miracles Ministries, for questioning in connection with allegations of multiple rape, other sexual offenses, and misconduct likely to breach public peace and law and order in the state. Now, in a statement, the Lagos police said that Pastor Okafor has been served with an official invitation letter through his legal representative, and he's expected to report to the office of the Deputy Commissioner of Police, State Criminal Investigation Department, PANTI, by 10 a.m. today, January 5th, 2026. Now, the Commissioner of Police, CP Olorundare Jimoh, has directed a thorough investigation into the allegations and has appealed to alleged victims and witnesses to come forward and assist with their probe and investigation. Police have assured that the identities of victims and all witnesses that come forward will be kept confidential and protected throughout the process, and that adequate security arrangements have been put in place for anyone with reporting incriminating information. Authorities have also said that this investigation will be conducted professionally, transparently, and without bias. Let's have a look at social media. I'll take a few tweets on this. Dr. Rollins says, a woman can make you king, but is also capable of making you eat sand. Fear women, you should. Good idea. Olariwaju says, is this one not a man of God again? When police begin to summon these so-called men of God for questioning because of their bad doings, it tells us who and what they are truly worshipping. A team, like I said earlier on, Pastor Chris Okafor seems to have followed us into 2026. And we're now seeing that these allegations are taking a very serious turn.
Okay.
The Lagos State Police Command has now gotten involved, and they're calling on witnesses, they're calling on, victims, for lack of a better phrase, of Pastor Chris Okafor to come forward with any evidence that they have. I have a feeling that much more women are going to come out from the woodworks. The reason why this is so important that the Lagos State Police Command got involved is because you have a man who's in a position of power. He leads women, he leads young girls, and so it's very important that we curtail his excesses, because he has a wider harm and has access to lots of young women, Mr. Shomi.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt that any pastor will be so much trusted by the congregation and with enormous power. And in the case of Pastor Okafor, there are so many allegations surrounding him. Nobody's saying they are true or not true. He himself has apologized to his congregation, but the criminal element of those allegations need to be investigated, particularly issues bordering on rape. And so the police is right to say, look, we need to look into this. Whether there will be witnesses to sustain any charge or not, we don't know. At the end of the day, what matters is we are beginning to see that pastors are not also above the law. They can also, be probed over abuses.
And for me, Olamide, I want to call him Mr. Okafor because I'm not sure about his pastor title. So, before we went on the holidays, I said something that I pray that the law would take full effect on him. Because, Olamide, we are women, and we know how it is sometimes when you have a figure like this. And imagine that figure now wanting to go sexual with you. Sometimes you will just bend to it because you know that this is your person. You don't want to say no. Like, we're women. We know how psychological things work for us. And there's no smoke without fire. For some people that will say it's just allegations, there is no smoke without fire. All I want to say is that any woman that has experienced something like this is a time to speak up. Oftentimes, women do not want to speak because they feel like, oh, it will come out, nothing will happen, you know, they'll forever be labeled as somebody that, you know, has been abused by this particular Mr. Okafor. But if you are any woman and you've experienced something like this, I think it's high time to come out. This is a point of call for every man of God. If you have come out and say that you are a man of God, you come out to say that you are a pastor, we are not expecting you to be perfect, but there are some things that we do not expect to hear from you. I'm happy that this story has lingered and followed us to 2026 because right now, I pray and I hope, and I know the Nigerian police will do their job.
Well, the case of Pastor Chris Okafor actually reminds me of some of the books that I've read. The one by Keir Summers, The Pastor Scandal, and that of, what's it called, Summers. The other Bachelor is something named Bachelor, who also wrote, you know, When Pastors Pray. Pray as in P-R-E-Y, as against P-R-A-Y. You know, these are funny, you know, situations, you know, issues that, you know, you're getting from the altar. One thing we need to know as people, whether you're Muslim or a Christian or whatever it is that people are people. They do not represent, this kind of attitude do not represent Christianity, doesn't represent, you know, whatever religion that you profess. That is the reason you need to be very close to your God. Because at the end of the day, you'll be so disappointed when you put your trust in humans. It is so sad. Good that he's been invited. Yeah. Whatever atrocity he has actually perpetrated, he should dance to the tune. He's human.
He definitely has to dance to the tune, Olamide, because, you know, Ibrahim, if somebody has said that they're a pastor, you've come out. Nobody forced you. You came out and said God has called you. You have a congregation, and we're hearing these kind of things about you. Olamide, I don't know if you saw the video where he knelt down and he was apologizing and people were clapping. I'm like, why are we so gullible?
Absolutely. It's time for Pastor Chris Okafor to leave the pulpit and take the stand.
Exactly.
Enough is enough. God doesn't like ugly. Thank you so much for your input, team. Moving on to very serious news. We've all heard that at least 30 people have been killed and several others abducted after gunmen stormed Kasuwandaji village in Borgu local government area of Niger State in one of the deadliest attacks in the area in recent weeks. Now, according to the police, the attacker struck on Saturday evening, opening fire on residents, setting the local market ablaze and burning several homes. Now, this assault comes barely a day after Niger State authorities announced the phased reopening of schools following earlier mass kidnappings that forced closures across the state. Reacting to the attack, President Bola Tinubu has directed the military, the police, and the Department of State Services to track down and apprehend those responsible. In a statement issued by his spokesperson, Bayo Ononuga, the president condemned the killings and abduction of women and children, describing this attack as unacceptable. President Tinubu also expressed condolences to the families of the victims and assured residents that security operations would be intensified around vulnerable communities, especially areas close to forest believed to serve as criminal hideouts. He's calling on Nigerians at this moment to remain united and resilient, warning that divisive rhetorics in moments like this could further undermine national security and cohesion. May their souls rest in perfect peace. Let's have a look at social media. This is an excerpt from the statement by the president. He says, I have directed the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Service Chiefs, the Inspector General of Police, and the Director General of the DSS to hunt down the terrorists behind the Kasuwandaji attack and ensure that they are brought swiftly to justice. These terrorists have tested the resolve of our country and its people. They must face the full consequences of their criminal actions. No matter who they are or what their intent is, they must be hunted down. In addition, those who aid, abet, or enable them will also be brought to justice. I have also directed that all abducted victims be urgently rescued and that security operations around vulnerable communities, especially near forests, be intensified. And this isn't just talk. We saw earlier on that the president is fully implementing the Forest Guard. Unwaebichi Miracle says, this isn't just an attack on people, it's an attack on survival. Burning a market and looting food items in this economy is a double death sentence for the community. Security must be proactive, not just visiting the scene the next morning to count bodies. And finally, Chris Aspire Wealth had this to say. He said, the rhetoric is finally matching the gravity of the situation, but Nigerians are tired of directives. We need to see these terrorists paraded and the victims returned home safely. Actions speak louder than a tweet. Let this be the turning point, President. #security first. #Kasuwandaji. Now, Tim, I noticed something very, very interesting. The phrasing, when we often look at these headlines, you hear the attack, the killings. This is not just a killing. This is a massacre. These gunmen came in from the forest at dusk. They opened fire on civilian residents who were feeding their children, bathing, washing their clothes. They weren't armed. They opened fire, they stole their food, and they burned their homes down right before their eyes. And there are many more incidents that have happened with regards to rape and sexual abuse that are not even being documented. This is very, very sad. What I also find interesting is that the government has just announced a phased reopening of schools. You know, just the other day we celebrated St. Mary's Catholic schoolgirls being returned. It almost seems as though every time we get a security gain or a security win, you know, a story like this comes out and undermines public trust in the security systems of Nigeria. Mr. Showme.
Well, these are terrorists. Their stock in trade is terror, and it's quite sad that they're doing it right in the safety of the extreme remotest part of the country where the hands of the law will not easily catch up with them. Yeah. But one good thing is that the president has sounded the alarm bell, which means that the military will go after these characters, and no matter what it takes, they will ensure that they're processed through the criminal justice system or they're sent to hell.
It's sad. It's a very sad way to start, you know, the year. I will have hoped and prayed that we'll have left insecurity in 2025. But 2026, we're here talking about it. We cannot keep overemphasizing. You know, I just hope that it's not just talk, but like measures are being taken. You know, we know this area is really a remote area. It's going to be very difficult for them to even get, you know, the police, get relief and everything. And we know that these terrorists, you know, they are taking advantage of some of these, you know, reasons. It's so sad that people were just doing their normal things. You wake up in the morning, you are not certain, you know, if the terrorists will not come and attack you. It's a sad one, you know. We're talking about it, but imagine the people that have been affected. Imagine families, imagine brothers that have lost their sisters. Some have been abducted, some raped. It's really a sad one. I'm just hoping that, you know, we're able to finally eradicate insecurity in Nigeria. It's really mental draining talking about it every day.
Sometimes I wonder what people really think, what they go through, because at the end of the day, you see some people invading communities with guns. Guns are blazing, let me just use that word, and then killing people indiscriminately. And then we also saw that some of the hands of the victims were also tied, and they murdered them in cold blood. To what extent? You stole their food, you snatched their lives away, you did all manner of things without the fear that one day you will also die. One day you will have your hands right behind your back, accounting for how you've spent your life. Well, you're only speaking to those who believe that there's an afterlife. But one thing we need to do is, as a government, is that we have to ensure, beyond rhetorics, beyond statements, beyond, you know, anger, we should make sure that we deal decisively with these people and we take them out of this earth quickly so that they meet God and meet their fate. Because I want them in the hellfire, to be honest.
Absolutely. We look forward to, you know, the full implementation of the forest guard that the president had announced earlier on this year, because it seems like rural settlements are being targeted. May the souls of the departed rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
Moving on, notable timelines. We truly believe here on the TVC Breakfast Show that time is of the essence. The past, the present,